to it, I was thinking, a lot of these words confuse people, right? Excuse me. A lot of these words confuse people when it comes to change, when it comes to fear, when it comes to taking action, when it comes to the understanding of oneself, when it comes to making moves, making decisions. Words confuse people, right? If we don't look at the words and we separate the words and observe the action, what is actually going on, right? What is actual change without using the word change? What is actual fear without using the word fear? Meaning, can you observe what's going on without labeling it or without saying you already know what that is, right? Because for so many people, they don't dive into something because they assume they already know. Oh, I'm not doing this because I'm afraid. Oh, you know what, man? I don't want to change this because this is hard. It's this, is this. Okay, cool. What's really going on? If you had to break down the action, if you was watching somebody move, what's really going on, right? We look at change itself. We look at people who have created this illusion of what's happening in their life or what's going to happen that's not based off of the present moment. A lot of it's based off of memory. A lot of it is based off knowledge that you think you know, education that you think you know, right? This is what I know what fear is. This is what I know. This is what happens when you make these moves. This is what happens when you make these decisions. This is what people assume. Hope you guys following me. Just follow this for a second. I create all these stories to why I can. Now my life is like there's force fields in my mind. This is how I visualize it. Where any decision that I'm thinking about making, that it's like there's this psychological force field that so many people have solidified, have accepted without question, right? Stories of why I can't make these moves, I can't make these decisions, not me, but what if this happens, what if this happens? But if you look at what's actually happening without the words, right? It is somebody in the present moment that's not making a decision that they know they need to make to address a problem they say they have, right? So we look at change itself without the words, the moves, right? Someone does not want to make a decision to get a different result. Someone does not want to make a move that may get them a different result. Why is that? Why does one not want to make a decision or shift their attention, shift their energy, shift their focus to get a different result? Okay, I'm unhealthy. I'm eating McDonald's every day. I'm not really where I want to be in life. But you know what? Let me shift my attention, shift my result, and just eat something different, right? Okay, fear. Say fear. So, because where's the fear in that example? I eat fast food every day, right? I'm gaining weight, or I'm not really healthy. I'm breathing hard. I'm like, oh man, I'm not where I want to be. So I'm going to shift my energy and eat different food. Is it fear? I'm afraid to eat lettuce. I'm afraid to eat broccoli. I'm afraid to eat, I don't know. What's the fear? So the plastic fries, I'm not afraid of. I'm not afraid of the Big Macs. I'm not afraid of the, McChickens, but I'm afraid of the grilled chicken. I'm afraid of what is it, right? So we look at that. What does that mean? Hey, I'm not where I want to be financially, right? So I don't want to shift my energy, shift my focus on a different action, shift my attention and give it to a different action to get a different result. Why not? One would say, oh, fear, right? Here's what's happening here. There's something about the position one is in that does something for them. If I'm in the current position and I'm okay with this position, no matter how much I complain, I still do not make any changes. There's something about this position that brings value to me. This position is important to me. It gives me value in some way, whether it keeps me safe, whether it keeps me secure, whether it's pleasurable, comfortable. This position does something for me. So to shift my attention to something else takes me out of this position that I'm currently in. So it's getting rid of the known position. Give me some thumbs up, fan, if you guys are following me. Give me some thumbs up if you're following this. Just give me some in the comments below if you're following. I want to see who's on here. If you guys are following this. So again, we're looking at these words that confuse people. We're looking at buzzwords that give people that... For so many people, it's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. The word change, the idea of change. Oh, you're going to change your life, change your life. Well, these words are very, they interfere with the process. Fear, oh, it's fear, it's this, it's this. They interfere with the process. Take away the words, what's really going on? What's really going on is you have a human being here who's making a decision, right? Getting a result, and then feeling a certain way about that result. They feel a certain way about that result, and then that feeling, right, determines, depending on how they feel about that result, they determine what happens next. So how they respond to what happens will determine what happens next. So I make a move, get a result. Now this result, how come I'm not willing to break that cycle? You got so many people moving with conclusions, fam. And what a conclusion is, you have so many people moving with, and I call it just force fields, or they move with this absolutes of, this is just who I am and this is what I do. This is what I'm willing to do. This is what I'm willing to do. This is how far I'm willing to go. And a lot of people are already, they have that in them before they make a decision. They have it in them already, right? It's like, I have this, okay, I will. That's why when I say how you do anything is how you do everything. In people's minds, they make moves knowing how far they're willing to go. So they'll make a decision, they'll make a move, they'll do things, but then there's always a point. It's like, okay, when it comes to addressing this, or when it comes to, a lot of people know how far they're willing to go. If you're not aware of how far you're willing to go, you keep reaching the same spot, wondering why nothing's happening. It's like, okay, I'm willing to do this for my health, but then I get to this point. When I get to this point, when there's a changing of a known, or a change of, or a ending of a known, so many people don't pass that. So then they go to do something else, and do something else, and do something else, and do something else. So now life becomes a cycle of just transition. Rather than picking something and thriving in, life becomes transition. Because this transition is like, okay, this is the first time I've ever said this on a live. First time I'm ever breaking this process down. When life is just a transition, you have accepted a point where you're willing to never pass, right? I'm never passing this point. Whatever that point is. And it's the same point regardless of what field you do or what path you go down. It's the same point, right? So for so many people, it's like, oh, I'll make a decision up to this, and then I'll look for something else. A transition point. So life is transitioning. So I get to stay the same while thinking I'm making changes, but in actuality, I never allow things to play out. I do things until a certain point. Why is that? Right? Why is that? Because again, I'm going into everything with an already predetermined outcome. I'm going into everything with the same, it's like with the same limitation. I'm jumping into everything with the same limitation. So no matter what one does, they will always get to that point and then transition. It's inevitable, right? Because that's what they do. So which is why, you can look at people and say, just study one's habits, one's patterns, and say, okay, cool. It's not about the right move to make, because you're going to do it to a point where you transition. It's about changing that. I visualize this stuff, and to put it into words is like, fuck. It's changing that predetermined thing about yourself, changing that outcome. It's about changing that thing within you, but then we don't use change, because change is like, oh, but what is that? So let's not go into change. It's about shifting your attention, shifting your focus, shifting your energy, and allowing yourself to push through that barrier that you already have before you make decisions. So if you want to eat clean or have a better outcome with your health, you go into it and say, I'm going to do it until. I'm going to do it. I'm going to change this as a way of life. I'm gonna turn this into a way of life, right? Rather than I'm gonna just do this to see what happens. The see what happens just means I'm going into something with that predetermined outcome again. It's inevitable fail. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna give myself this amount of time, and I'm gonna see what happens. That just means I'm gonna do this to the point where I gotta transition to something else. It's the same moves you're making over and over and over again, because that's the way of life, the transition life. So that's why you have so many people who have done so many things in their life, right? I got all these things that I've done to a certain point, and then I moved on. So it's never addressing something that there's something there. There's something that requires a stretch to break through that barrier you have within yourself. There's a stretch there. There's something there that you're not addressing, that once that's addressed, you will see the results that are noticeable to you, right? The results that are truly noticeable to you. You're like, oh shit, this really put me in another space. Again, I'm describing this without using the words that confuse people, okay? We're talking about change. We're talking about fear. We're talking about limitations. We're talking about these things. But when you say that, change your life, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to change my life. People think it's another video to watch. They think it's another hopeful thing. They think it's another, you see people listening to multiple different people to see, oh, I'm going to get inspired and motivated. It's like, you don't understand. You're going into everything with the same mentality. To be entertained. Going into something to be entertained, and you'll never understand if you're going into something to be entertained. You got to go into something to understand. Because if you were to understand, you start to see what information is really valuable. See, priorities, fam. Priorities. You become aware when your priorities set when your priorities in the place of growth and understanding, you become aware of the information you're listening to. You will be aware of what's the solution and what's the best escape. You'll be aware of what's giving you the moment of feeling good and what's giving you the actual solution. So your priorities, fam. If we break down change, I'm getting a result that I say I don't want. I'm making these decisions. I'm making these moves. I say I don't want this result, right? I get this result. I react to it. I feel bad about it. However I react and respond will determine what happens next. Now, why is it one is not in constant search for the solution? Why does one not break away from that barrier, right? The stories one tells themselves, maybe the habits they've been on, because if transition is a way of life, right? We talked about the transition life, where we says one takes action to a certain point, then transition. That just means a point that puts an end to my known, or puts an end to something that's comfortable, puts an end that something's going to stretch me. I never take action on that. So I do things to the point of transition, which means one will never trust themselves, right? One will never trust themselves. One will never have the confidence with themselves, because confidence is knowing. You have confidence when you know. There is no confidence when you like, okay, I think I know. I think it's false confidence. You think it's something, I have a pretty strong idea. When you know, there's confidence, right? So when you know, I'm going to go into something and I'm going to do it until there's a different level of focus. But when you go into something where you actually, when you actually do know, your knowing either inspires you or discourages you. Your knowing either moves you, right? Or it moves you, or you move with hesitation. When you know you do things to a certain point of transition, when you know you do things until you adapt and adjust and make it work, whatever knowing you know, you do every move that way. That's why there's so much hesitation. Or that's why somebody goes into something and then becomes successful at it. Because they know, I know how I do things. I know how I adapt and adjust in every move I make. And someone else may say, I know how I do something until the point it requires me to grow and stretch, and then I run away. So when someone says, I'm going to take action on this thing, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, it's like they know how far they're willing to go. And in that, when you know how far you're willing to go, fam, that creates how you feel about yourself. When you know how far you're willing to go, that creates how you feel about yourself. When you know, damn, man, I'm willing to just keep going until it no longer makes sense. For some people, they say, I'm willing to keep going until I have to take, another step outside of the known. You know yourself, right? And that's why you move with certain hesitations. That's why you're like, I don't know. Is it the information? No, the information's all out there, right? Is it you're scared to put away the fast food to eat a certain way? The information's out there. Well, you can't go to the gym. The information's out there. The gym information, the health information, increase your income, business is all out there. Information's all out there. It's not that you will never know. The information's all out there when it comes to taking your attention, taking your focus, and putting it to something else, right? If it was man-made, if it was a system that was created by a human being, then you can always know how to figure it out. There's always things on it. You can figure it out. You can just put in the time, figure it out, learn it, put in the time. So what is it? For some people that they refuse to dive into something, they refuse to go all in, what is it, right? Why the hesitation? People know themselves, right? People know, whether they're aware of it or not, they know how they move. And you got to get to a certain place where if you truly want a different result, you got to allow yourself to push through that barrier, that point where you're about to make a transition. This is something you can't teach, right? You got to push through that point. And that's something that you can't teach. You can't teach that. You can't teach passion. You can't teach wanting something, right? You can't teach somebody to want it, to keep going. You can't teach somebody to change how they feel about themselves. All you can do is influence it. All you can do is talk about it. All you can do is tell people fear is an illusion, which we just established through this live, that the stories one tells themselves is not even based on what's happening in the present. It's like, oh, if I make this decision, people have it all lined up. If I make this decision, this is going to happen. And then when that happens, this happens. And then when that happens, this is going to happen. It's like, whoa, none of that exists. None of that's real. None of that's real. When we break down this process, fam, and you start to see yourself for who you actually are, not who you think you are, not who you wish you are, don't allow the truth to discourage you. Don't allow the truth to discourage you. When you see yourself, the best thing you can ever do is see yourself. The best thing you can ever do is see how you do things. The best thing you can ever do is see the details that you are overlooking. The best thing you can ever do is understand the point of transition. Because when people do things to the point of transition, right? I'm going to go into something else. And then that becomes a way of life. The next thing is a way of life. Instead of seeing things play out. Instead of seeing things stretch out and seeing the moves you're making and the details of yourself and say, oh, shoot, okay. I can't start things and not finish them. I can, but then that becomes it's an incomplete life. So many people are living incomplete lives. Oh, I've done this. In their minds, they've completed it up to a point that they've always expected to complete it. You always see it all the time. How you do anything is how you do everything. So one has this, one is holding on to something, and it's a foundation. It's a foundation. It's a root cause. It's something that's always there. It's implanted there. And then people go, oh, nobody believes in me. no one supports me. No one, it's funny when people are like, I got goals and dreams and no one supports what I want to do. It's like, well, you don't even support yourself. You don't even support what you do. You're not solid with yourself, right? And you know what? Everybody around you knows that. Everybody around you knows that you're willing to do things. Because if you were serious about what you're doing, if you were serious about change, if you were serious, everybody feels that. Everybody feels that. Everybody wants to support that one person who's going all in on themselves. And it may not be the people around you, but we're looking at the people who someone will support, someone will see that. Someone will see that. Damn, that person is just all in. That person's serious about their health. That person is serious about, like, everybody wants to support that person. Like, yo, I see you. Damn, I see you. You going all in. You're making these moves. You're making real changes. Holy shit. You're playing big. You're wow, I see you putting your own money up. But everybody also sees the limitations. I was like, yeah, you all in? Okay. And no one's conscious about it. It's not a conscious, oh, you're all in. No one sees the details behind the moves you're making. But they feel it. They feel it. They feel your energy. They feel the movement. They feel it. So when people are like, oh, no one's supporting me. No one is believing in me. No one, you don't understand. Like, you don't know. Like, you know what? Forget all the haters. All the haters. Some people are not haters. Some people are not haters, fam. Some people, look, check this. Some people are not haters. Are there a lot of haters? 100,000%. Some people are not haters, fam. Some people are telling you the facts. Some people are not haters, right? There's some people that can't verbally explain what's happening or how they feel, whatever it is. But your energy, your fucking energy, man, people feel that. Your intention people feel that. Your passion, people feel that. And that's something that you can't teach, or something you can't front. You can't front on passion. You can't fake passion. You can't fake, oh, I really want it, Anthony. You don't understand. You can't fake that. You can't fake that. You don't really understand. I'm really doing it. I really want this. I really, really, really do. And no matter how much you cry and wish and hope and pray, your energy, man, when you're making the decision that people are like, oh, shit, you really doing that? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. You really broke that barrier of transition? Oh, shit. You really adapting and adjusting? Oh, shit. People want to, like, people, that's where the people, you ever see where you're on your way to doing something, then people out of nowhere come, yo, I want to support you, I want to help you. And then that's where people are like, oh, now you wanted to help me when I'm on my way. Or now you wanted to help me when I'm making, that's what that means. Right? Because you're like, oh shit, you're making changes in your body. You're making changes in your mind. You're making changes financially. You're making changes emotionally. You're making different decisions in your life. Like, people feel it, man. And everything you want is all byproducts. Everything you want is all byproducts of you being all in on yourself. So when it comes to change, when it comes to understanding yourself, when it comes to fear, you got to understand, fam, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, is that permanent? No. But you have to see the details within yourself. You have to see how you really react and respond. And when that changes, when you allow things to play out, when you allow to push yourself through uncomfortable situations, just understand everybody can feel that. They can't put it into details. They don't know, but like, yo, that person's moving different. There's something about this person there. They're just moving differently, man. They're pushing out barriers, the way they act and respond. It's like, holy shit. But when you want things, everything you want is all byproducts of you going all in on yourself. 100%. When you're chasing byproducts, you're playing just a short game. When you chase byproducts, it's like people chasing money instead of chasing the value they provide. Money is a byproduct of the value you provide. But when you're chasing money, you make small scraps. When you're chasing love and you're chasing relationships and you're chasing attention and you're chasing people, it's like, yo, you're not even solid with yourself. You're chasing happiness when happiness is a byproduct of a life lived well. You got to be all in on yourself, fam. And all in means overcoming those fears and that. I just visualize it like there's just this thing that's just there, this limitation that's just there, that one goes into every situation in. It's just there, solid there, kind of like a bug that's just there, a parasite that's just there, stuck and just there. And no matter what move you make, the parasite is still there. It's just like you just got to remove that shit and understand where it came from. It's like, oh shit, this is what happened. This is where it is. This is my limitation. This is the thing that's keeping me in the same place. You got to be willing to change your position. You got to be willing to get uncomfortable. You got to be willing to bet on yourself. You got to be willing to just push through that force field that you've created, that you go into everything with. I can't teach this, man. There's nobody that can teach this. You can go ahead and read another book. You can get off this live. I'm going to jump on another live that makes me feel better. You can go ahead and follow 10,000 people on social media, read 8,000 books. There's nothing that's going to help you. There's nothing that's going to, at that moment of transition, is going to push you through it. You got to be aware of it, right? It's like, oh, you can easily climb up you're climbing half mountains every time. I see Mount Everest. The moment it gets difficult, it's too cold, I'm going back down. Climbing, not even half mountains. I'm climbing 10 steps and I'm like, oh, I'm out. And I'm going to go to another mountain that's much smaller. I'm going to climb 10 steps in that mountain, I'm out. I'm going to go to another mountain, I'm out. It's like, oh shit. How you do anything's how you do everything. And no matter how much you, it's like, look to feel good, it's a point where you got to make a decision, fam, and this is responsibility. Let me make this decision. Let me push through this shit. And it comes with addressing, first of all, it comes with understanding which results you want and making those uncomfortable decisions to get there. Give me some fire emojis, fam, if you guys found value in this breakdown. Give me some fire emojis. Awesome. All right, fam. I love you guys, yo. Appreciate you for always being on Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Have a solid day. Yo, listen to me real quick before I let you go. Hold on, because this is the part people tune out. They're like, oh, he's going to say the same thing. Take care. YouTube, Awareness Journal. Listen. Make the decisions you know you need to make. And that's it. I love you. Peace.